Recording is started. This is St. Louis Linux Users Group meeting for 16 December 2021. Our main presentation will be Tyler Rudie presenting on holiday light automation. Before we get into that, are there any announcements? Anybody have any announcements? Here's a call. Well, going once, going twice. Call for help. Has anybody got a question they'd like to throw out to the audience? I'll take that as no. Okay.
Hey, Stan, let's see. Are there any more of our meetings left in this calendar year? Any more in December?
Yes, there will be a new Linux user group meeting on the 28th of December. That's the fourth Tuesday of the month. I might roll up something next week to test out some parameters for the session, which would probably be about the third Tuesday, but I haven't done it positive yet.
We continue our sail to the Dominican Republic.
Somebody needs to mute themselves, please.
This season of Sailing Doodles features Bobby, Taylor.
Somebody's got an open microphone.
Sail to the Caribbean in our 1989 CT.
I think that's Steve. There we go.
Just muted him. I just muted him. Okay. Definitely the fourth Tuesday will be the new lug meeting, and it'll be using Jitsi instead of Zoom. Any questions about that? Any other announcements? Okay. What do you think, Gary? Oh yeah, 4 a.m. On Christmas, New Year's Eve, there's the Hacker Public Radio thing is going on. There are the meetings for December, the tail end. And who's sharing your screen? Oh, that's Rudie. Okay.
Oh, it's me.
All right. Well, I
Figured
have
it'd
no
be-
control. I've lost control of everything. I've lost my mind, and it was very small. It was kind of hard to track down anyway. So I'm going to give up talking here. Gary, you got anything to say?
What is the meaning of life? That's what we're going to find out tonight. Let's see. By the way, Stan's put some neat stuff out on the calendar, and also some with some help from Jonathan and a few other folks. Like at 9 o'clock tonight, there is what do they call that, Stan? Linux boot.
I don't know if they meet or not. Their website says they're done, but I've never actually joined to see if they actually do have a meeting going on.
Yeah.
So many of these things we run across, and we post them in hopes that they actually have meetings, and it may be a dead site. I don't know. It's kind of like the Kansas City lug.
And then other ones, I went to the meeting of the Omaha lug the other night, and they did a great talk on file systems. I'm going to see if we can get the guy with the speaker. I think he's from the University of Iowa, and he's comparing BetterFS versus ZFS, and why you might worry about those things and not just run with the good old EXP4. So I thought he did a very nice presentation. Like I said, I hope we can get him to come talk to us. But one of the nice things about COVID, the fact that so many organizations now are doing these online meetings. And, you know, you go to meetings we've never been able to get to. So. Yeah, I guess.
What?
I know one of the comments is that we be doing announcements until quarter till, but I don't think we really have any, unless somebody has some other just general Q&A they'd like to throw out at this point.
I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see if I can get a way to get Discord onto this.
What is Discord?
Discord is like Slack, but it's designed for gaming more than other stuff. Okay.
Or as a teenager just explained to me last week that, yeah, Skype is so passe. Nobody'd be caught dead on Skype. Everybody's on Discord.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Discord has a meeting has a meeting group like Meetup and like a Zoom also, but it's got some nice features, but it's also got some limitations.
Mhm.
The limit of 25 people per, it can have multiple rooms built in, but maximum of 25 people per room with video. If you get more than 25, only one person can have video. But another group I may use that instead of Zoom.
So it's limited to a smaller group at any one time then.
Well, but you know, I mean, when you log into Discord, it's like a worldwide thing. Every Discord there is, if the public are available to you, you can just join any Discord there is. You know, I'm in one group. We have our Discord. Actually, to do video, I think you have to buy your own server. The basic Discord does not cover video, so we have to have our own server for video.
It's at a lower bit rate, but
Okay,
if you want the higher bit rate. So I was looking at this thread from a group I'm in, and this guy's got these aliases set on his profile. And just so I wouldn't try to set them up, but every time I run, well, for one, it didn't take this format at all, but is there a way to set an alias with a space in it? Or is there a specific something I have to install to make the bash aliases take this format? Let me see if I can make it bigger.
He's got them quoted, but
Yeah, they're quoted, Tyler. Single tick, single quote.
Mm-hmm.
but
That's what I'm.
trying to do that with put your alias with a space in it. I don't know, man. That sounds like asking for trouble.
Something weird I came across the other day. Transition back over to the browser. Yeah, I have a very bad habit of collecting Discord channels because it seems like anybody wants to have instead of getting a form set up, they'll just set up a Discord with the appropriate channels. Because the initial setup is free, and then you get people to boost the server, and it starts unlocking certain features like better bit rates, bigger files.
Oh, did I understand that? So you're saying that when you get more participants.
So, for example, this is the Discord I set up for my family in this area. And if I'm the owner of it, and I boosted the server once. So 128, if somebody else on the server was to boost it, and I think boosting it, you get two boosts for $100 a year. Sticker slots, animated server icons, stream friends in high quality. That's one of the big things. 128 kilobytes audio quality. Now, let me make sure I'm not on a annoying page on my friends, which is another one I boosted. So, I thought I was boosted twice. But yeah, all the times they'll come in here and they'll stream with each other and they'll chat each other. So they'll be streaming both on Discord and on Twitch and on YouTube when they play their games. But that's all these channels down here. To build this, I just builds that. See, I don't think it's gonna start it up because it's gonna want, it's hooked into the desk camera that I got set up. But it means I have a controlled space that my nieces and nephew can chat in. Not anybody can just get into this. I have to send an invite. But that's Discord. Okay, we're going to talk about. Go ahead.
I was just saying that is neat. Thank you for the demo. So, and as Tyler was just starting to say, we'll just go to our. By the way, after Tyler's talk and cute questions about his talk, maybe we'll talk a little bit about this log4j security problem that's been in the news this week. So, but first, Tyler Rudie is employed over at Siemens, where we had been physically meeting until COVID hit, and was nice enough to, after doing last Wednesday night's presentation, to do tonight's presentation. And he's going to talk to us about digital LEDs and how to get them flashing lights flashing here in the holidays. So with that, I'll turn it over to Tyler.
Okay, so this is going to be more of a show and tell. Bring up the camera. Oh, we all know the standard LED. They've been around forever. So here's a roll of them. I picked it up for $5 at Walmart. Here's a basic white LED. Here's an RGB composite that's like the ones that we're going to talk about, but as you can tell, if I turn this on, all the LEDs are, when changed by this controller back here, stay the same light. So even if I turn on the soft white, all the colored are the same. And that's basically because we have a dedicated power channel for each color. So white, blue, red, green, and then the black is the 12-volt power in. So power goes in the black and comes back via these specific colors, and that's how the controller works. These are nice, they work. But there's been some stuff on the horizon that for a while that they've come out with. So to do it, they use what's called SPI. And transition back over to the browser. The SPI bus is a technical bus. It's built into the Raspberry Pi or anything else with general purpose IO pins that uses a single wire to create basically a bus network between devices. And everything has an address.
Hey, Tyler,
Yeah.
what is the practicalee.com? Okay, I want to find this thing here.
So, well, you may have heard these things. They're called by a different name here in the state by data for. They're called neopixels. So, to show basically how these work, here is what they call a Circuit Python Express device. And it's designed to help teach kids Python or other programming languages. And what we have here, our standard LED here saying that's got power. On this other side, there's a red LED that, like any other computer, flashes when you write to the memory. But this array of 10 LEDs around here are this new thing. And they have 3 wires going into them, one of which will offer, or all of them go from LED to LED, but there is instead of having one per color of light, there's just that one network. So what you can do, if you're creative, what I have here is I've set up the code, and this part here addresses those LEDs. This is a constant that says this is what pin that the neopixels are attached to the processor on. This is the number that are in the string, so it needs to know how many hops there are on the bus. This sets the brightness, and this tells it not to, when I execute it, wait for the show command. So if I do pixels dot fill, which takes all of them and sets the same. So let's go to green, which is there's one LED, and pixels dot show. Oh, if you type right, Tyler, it would work. X
I have noticed
yellow.
that.
So we turned it on to green. Same with any of these others. What gets real fun is when you start doing math. So what I'm going to do now is replace the code file here with one that is a data fruits demo. So if I do Control B here, it's going to reset, and it should read the code.py that I put in and start doing fancy stuff. At least I thought it was going to do fancy stuff.
It
Reload that.
blinks.
Yeah, blanks. It's got the wrong code set in there. What happens when I hit the save button? It's supposed. Of course, you're gonna make a liar out of me. And boot. Of course, I must have screwed it up.
Did you try to improve it?
No,
Oh.
that's new. Why did it lock that file? Of course it does that. What's that saying?
Hey, Tyler,
Mm-hmm.
what was the name of that bus?
SPI.
What was
Okay.
that name of that little round gizmo you got there?
It's a Circuit Python Express device.
Okay.
Is that basically just the same circuitry that's on the ribbon of LEDs, but just arranged on
No,
just?
this has got it's got a microcontroller already in it. And that's what I'm fussing with right now. And it just refuses to let me write code to it. Try this other one. Okay. Edit this one.
Excuse me. Oh, gosh.
But it's got a whole bunch of stuff on it. It has a accelerometer, yeah. Yeah. Uh, it actually runs a should show you the guys this. It actually runs a reduced set of commands compared to Python. Copy this code.
Sorry, could you say that again? I didn't quite understand it.
So, there it goes. The device has about 6 different sensors, plus the lights, plus the pads on the side here are actual contacts, so you can grab them with an alligator clip. You know, the video is horrible. Plus 2 switches here, and it also can be driven by battery. So basically, it's one of their feather devices that's been soldered up to do tutorials. Those are basically what we're playing with. I don't know exactly which version this is, but I mean, some people have gotten fairly creative with them. Switch over to this camera.
What's that gizmo called? I'm trying to find that web page.
Circuit Playground Express. This is an interesting device that I got off of somebody that didn't get to go to DEF CON. But if you look inside of here, let's see if we can look down in there. There's just a bunch of these LEDs and a microcontroller. And then there's a switch on the back that switches how they behave. And there it goes. If you didn't know, at DEF CON, they have this habit of selling off these really complicated badges. So somebody will put one together like this. It's circuit boards, and you can buy them for like $30. So the NeoPixels basically are a network of small computers driving LEDs. So what my plan is for the front yard is I was going to try out, I bought this set of what they call WS2811s from Amazon this over Thanksgiving holiday. And I'm going to use a device called, I was going to use a device by a YouTuber called Intermediate Tech. He calls it his Quinn Digital LED board. And because I'm lazy, plus I suck at Um, surface monitoring. I bought one. Comes with everything ready to go. So, and they pre-install a very interesting package called WLED that's by a guy called Air Cookie. So, come on. Go back to the home page. And this is an open source project that will install on this basically mini Arduino. And it does all the math for you, because if you were to do this with something for a data free, you'd have to do all the bloody math. So, let's see here. It's built in Arduino, so running lower than things like even Python. This is a big one. Will plug straight into Home Assistant, so you can. So the non-technical enthused people can just use the touchscreen that you can generate from that. Also integrates with Hughes and other, so I can have multiple of these units around the house, and it will sync up with each other if they're on the same network. Oh, let's go back to here. Oh, this is what I got. This set came with waterproof connections, so I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. And if I bring up its web page, I can turn them back on. So the system itself has a whole bunch of pre-built in here. So on this left or first page, we have all the different palettes, colors. So you can define some. This second page is all the different modules, or methods. So let me shrink the browser and combine the two. Add existing source camera. Add existing. No, not scene. Add Windows capture. Add Here we go. So, for example, don't tell my roommates, but my brother and I are planning on decorating the house tomorrow, and he went out and bought a whole bunch of blue bulbs. Well, with this, I just go in and I say, I want that palette and then this effect.
Where'd you get that fan of lights?
Amazon, I'll have, and actually it's just a string of lights with a rubber band.
Yeah. Okay, I'm on Amazon. What do I look for?
ALI TOV 12 volt WS2811 pixels. I believe it comes in 100, 100, 200, and 300 pieces. So the biggest issue is that these things will draw a lot of power if you, to the point where the first few sets can't pull, or the wires in the first two sets can't supply enough power. So you have to use what they call injectors. So it's just a joiner that has the ability to put more power. You can run another power cable to it. These run on 12 volt. It's a bigger issue on the 5 volt varieties. Other things it can do. Under configuration, we can go into times and macros. We can tell it to get time from the world time clocks. Give it that, oh, by the way, we're in the Central Standard Time. Then down here, we can say, start at take one of these and say for Monday through Sunday, we have the ability to run for really what I'm looking at here. I believe this allows you to set actual on off, so you can tell it to say bring up X preset at sunset for Monday through Friday or something like that. And then you don't even have to touch it. The biggest thing I had to do when setting this up is I had to come in here to the LED preferences, tell it how many LEDs are in the string, and it already knows that it's using a 12 volt power supply. So for 100, I need a 4 amp power supply to run it at full brightness. And then I had to give it what the type is and the color order. And I just had to fuss with this until it actually showed yellow. This is the first color that it boots up with. Transition, time lights.
Is somebody
Uh,
still there, or did my sound go dead?
I'm still talking. Can you still hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, Tyler is still talking. Can you hear us?
Well,
So the real nice thing, the next or great thing is yeah, okay, since this is basically an open source project that Air Cookie has been putting together. So desktop app, Home Assistant, never heard of IO Broker. OpenHab is another Home Assistant. Node-RED is a logic engine. I do not heard of this, but all those come back. So if you actually wanted to create one of those shows you see on YouTube, what you do is you would build out the controllers and get the LEDs working, and then you would build out the light show in one of these programs. And they will talk over the network to the controllers and run the actual show. So they'll actually tell which lights to turn on and off. Dr. Z's on YouTube has a lot of tutorials on how to do this. Let's see here. What else is there about this? Power-wise, so Intermediate Tech, this YouTube channel, runs this Quinn LED programming. He's done a lot of research. So not only can you buy the controller boards and modules, he goes through and talks about how to pick your LEDs, including there's some small enough, because these are definitely chunky, to go on a Christmas tree. So he's done a lot of work there. He also has gone through and this will behave. Gone through and actually measured the power usage of most of these LEDs by on how many watts they pull when at certain modes. So 100%. Oh, come on. So these WS28 15s that I bought will pull 9 watts, just keeping the network alive. And then if I crank them all up to max, it'll pull out, I guess, 48.6 watts. It's actually why this is just a example that I'm pulling. So the actual ones that I'm looking at, if I can find them, I'm thinking of installing on my house one day, so I never have to deal with this ever, of climbing up there ever again, is this LED. And if you notice, I don't have a 5-volt set up to drive these, but that LED's got both a white and colored section. And these are what they call RGBW strips of the SK6812 variety. So instead of having to drive all 3 LEDs at 100% to get a white color, it just turns on the white LED.
Tyler, how far apart are these LEDs on the string? They look like 4 or 5 inches,
Oh.
maybe?
So they usually will come along and say how many LEDs per meter. So that's
Okay.
one of the things that he goes over, Quintor or intermediate tech goes over when building your project. So this one says it's, where did it put it? It's 60 LEDs per meter. So that's what that's in there. They go up, they go up higher. So this is a 2812 strip that's only 1 meter, but it's 144 LEDs per meter. So there's 144 total LEDs in this strip and on 1 meter. And this was actually something I was looking to use, I believe, with a lightsaber.
I take it that project never went anywhere?
Yeah, this seems to be my curse. Start all projects. The other thing you can look at is waterproofing. So I believe this was rated for these ones I have running right now. Oh, come on. Don't, yeah.
They look like they're just
IP6.
coated in epoxy or silicone or something.
Yeah, it's in silicone right now. So this entire chunk it got a plastic sleeve around it and it's filled with the silicone. So it's an IP68. And I believe they also make these that go in a tube. So it's one giant diffused tube. Yeah. And those are, I believe, 69s, or can't remember if it's more or less.
Yeah,
So
I've seen that designation a couple of times tonight, and I don't understand what.
the higher the IP rating, the more waterproof it is, slash
Okay.
dust proof. So let me
Okay.
switch over to Quinter's site here.
Yeah, hold it. Wait a minute. QuinLED.info.
So he's got an article here about the difference between IP20, which is basically designed to be indoor,
No.
67 IP67, which is basically the epoxy. It basically is bathed in epoxy,
Yeah.
and then 67 is that tube.
Oh, I see. I thought you were talking about a plastic tube. That's not, that's just that
Well, the
light tape
60,
embedded in.
67 is a tube, and 68 looks like it's more massive silicone on top of everything. So he has a lot of things that you can go in and look at. So here's his what gauge wire do you need to run from the controller, so right to the LEDs, and working on voltage drop and all that stuff. What I plan on doing, so most when you go to purchase them, it's like, okay, what do I want? So probably put a black, run on 12 volt, and 65 is probably where you want that. And okay, we're already talking for a 5-meter roll, because this is coming from China. We're talking about $50 a roll.
That's not bad.
Especially if you're just going to put them up there and just never touch them.
Well, I did under cabinet lighting with some product very similar to this, but it was just straight white. I didn't want colors. And I got it from Super Bright LEDs in St. Louis about 10 years ago. And I think it was about 5 meters for $150. I bought the same thing about, a month ago before all this chaos with my wife. And it was $40. The price has come down. I got a power supply. Yeah, it's Meanwell. It's the same company. I put one of those in my house in Maryland. Far as I know, it's still running just fine.
It's just one of the other things you have to think about is that you really do need to have a beefy power supply behind one of these if you're going to be running lots of light off of them.
Yeah. Another question is that string that you had there that looked like it had, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches between the LEGs and those nice chunky ones in the silicone filled, look like plastic tube. How bright are those? I mean, do they compare favorably with an ordinary LED Christmas light?
I would say currently with them about a third brightness, because I've got a weak power supply that I'm using right now to drive them in here.
Okay.
That they would. So if I was to actually get a full, have enough wattage to drive all the LEDs, I would say that, yeah, they would be probably as bright or brighter.
Okay. Now, can you run them at full brightness, say for 4 or 5 hours without melting them?
All depends on the power supply you have behind it. So as long as it's got, so there's 2 things you probably should, if you're going to do full brightness behind it. The one is this capacitor that it's installed here. It's there to take the
talking about. I don't see the capacitor.
Right here next to my, right there, that silver.
We're not seeing your screen.
We're not seeing
We're not seeing your desk. We're seeing the Alato. There you go.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
So there's a very large capacitor there on the lower right of the control board. It's there to handle the sudden when it goes from dark to bright. So
Okay.
it's all about sizing the system. But for the most part, yeah, I can say that. And this makes it dead simple because everything was already flashed and ready to go when I bought the board. All I had to do is connect to the Wi-Fi hotspot that it spontaneously created and set the Wi-Fi password on it.
How can I find that controller board on Amazon?
Well, it's not going to be on Amazon. That's the biggest problem right now.
Oh, where is it? Wait a minute. By pre-assembled boards, which ones are you looking at there? Are you looking at his Dig Uno or Dig Quad?
Right now what I have is Uno running. I do have his quad sitting in the box. So he's got, if it's in stock, this is probably your best bet because Dr. Z's is in the US. It's not in stock.
If it's Chinese and not in stock, we're talking next year. Boy, that's got a 10 amp fuse in it. Wow.
So I ordered this. I'll check my email. I ordered it on the 1st of December. It shipped on the 2nd and got to me on the 7th.
Oh,
So
that's
they
not
seem to
bad.
these guys seem to be at least competent on shipping stuff. And I I paid $33 in shipping to use DHL Express.
Yeah. And you recommend Dr. Z's store?
Well, that's the one that he's trying to keep in stock here in the States or in the North America continent. So Intermittent Tech and Dr. Z's are kind of the leading experts on this kind of this DIY part. And for the most part,
Oh, it says out of stock.
Yeah.
Is that one of those products that winds up always being out of stock?
well, he's kind of like us, so
Yeah.
it's well, that's basically it. I mean, I haven't pushed it that far. My goal is this where did it go? I'm going to experiment with it this time around, and maybe this next year I'll install a actual set of lights. The other thing I have done, and I'm thinking about starting up small classes, is I went out and spent money on 15 of these, which is the next generation of the Circuit Playground Express. And I figured I'd either start either lending them out to kids to teach them programming or running classes. So
How much you want for those classes?
I don't know. I'm still mulling it over. I figured I'd either run it through my local makerspace, something that the makerspace just offers, and you'd have to sign up for slots, or a group can contract with me to actually do it. But I figured having something physical that you programmed with lights on it would improve retention on
Oh, yeah.
Python. And having it so that you can push a button and the control board does something. The biggest problem is making sure that they all continue to work.
Are these things unreliable?
Oh, you saw how weird they can get. Now that is Python, and it could be my computer was being stupid about writing to the onboard memory, but who knows?
Yeah, I'm wanting to do some home automation. I'm pretty much settled on a Raspberry for it because I can log into it and talk to it, and it's something I understand how to work with.
That's the thing I'm probably going to do is I'm going to take a Raspberry Pi and throw Home Assistant on it, and it will act as the hub. And then I'll have multiple devices out and about on the network that it will read from. So for example, I got some Bluetooth humidistats spread around the house that just barf out the humidity and temperature that they're reading on Bluetooth. And somebody created a ESP image that will convert that over into Wi-Fi, and Home Assistant reads it. Which means now I can put a humidistat almost anywhere around the house and control my thermostat if I needed to. So the other nice thing that they do is if you're wondering about all the effects that this guy came up with, let's see if I can find it. Features, okay. So here he basically simulates what each effect does.
Oh.
So you have an idea of what each one will do. The effect that when you stretch them all out, I don't know what, but this one looks like, this one's interesting. No, that's rain. Firework. Fireworks. Scanner stream aurora. Tri-wipe lightning. ICU. So oscillate pride, whatever. Fire, BPM, fill noise, meteor, railway, ripple. This would be interesting for Halloween.
Which would be interesting for Halloween. One of the patterns in particular.
This one's interesting here, this 1D firework. See what that looks like on these ones set up.
Ooh,
Back, effects.
you passed it.
I didn't. I know.
There it is, right under second one from the top.
You notice it's doing it on the palette that I told it. That's a starburst.
Oh, okay.
So, and this is just open source. If you wanted to come in here and add something, if you wanted to, you could sit down and actually do the math for an effect. You can totally add it. This is literally sitting out on GitHub.
Hey, Tyler, you got a sec?
Sure.
How long would that 300 LED string be when you string it out? Or is that 100?
This one's 100.
Okay,
What
how
I
long
got
would that
plugged
be?
in. So they're supposed to be.
Yeah, I was looking on Amazon and I never did find anything that said, you know, how much wire is between them.
I could have swore that I saw a length on here somewhere. 12 meter, 12 millimeter. That's the size of the bulb. Let's see product details. And weight. Assembled length 1,153 inches.
Where'd you see that?
Down in the technical details.
Is that on the Amazon site? I can't find that.
Yeah,
Huh.
11353 divided by 12. About 100 feet.
Is that,
Probably all
is
three of.
that the 100 light or a 300 light?
I think that's a 300 light.
So 100 light is probably somewhere around 30 feet.
Oh, there. Oh no, that's just $1.37 a foot.
Yeah, I can't find, I'm looking at the Alito 12V WS2811 300 thing, and I can't find any reference to length at all.
So if it's 32 feet per module. If
Wait a
you
minute,
switch
where's
over to the.
You're at
So on the list.
Amazon.com?
Yeah. Here, let me do this. Share as web page.
How about sending out an email with all of those links in it? That would be pretty cool.
Oh, that's what I'm going to. Lost. No, not that one. One tab. Okay, so grab this, shove it in chat. Or you can scan the QR code there on screen.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work. Oh, God. Now, where is this? Is it in chat?
Go into chat,
Ah,
click that link. And it should have all the tabs that I had opened.
okay. Is this something that you just did?
Yes. It's
Oh,
a plugin called OneTab.
that's kind of cool. Then it lists all the tabs you got open. Pretty cool.
Mhm.
Do you ever sleep?
I wish.
It's kind of what I thought.
It's overrated. Very boring.
Yeah, I've noticed.
That's really pretty neat, Tyler. So what's the biggest display you put together with this so far?
I haven't put any together yet. I've been playing around with it on my desk, but that's about it.
Okay.
So the goal is this year is to get at least something into the garden this morning or to work. And the fact that I was able to buy the pre-assembled board helped immensely.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
The biggest thing I need to probably do is go and buy some 3-wire thermostat wire to run between the both from the pigtail that came with the kit and the controller, so I can leave the controller under the eaves somewhere so it's not getting rained on. And what else? And probably I'll have to run an injection on the other end of the string. So I'll have to run a second wire to wherever the string ends up so that both ends can have enough power.
Why not run it
But
off
that's,
a car battery?
oh yeah, I could.
That's one advantage of having a farm. You collect shit. So I've got 2 unused, perfectly good 12-volt car batteries sitting around. I've also got a 30 kVA generator that's available for pickup.
That's digitally addressable, programmable LED, or not programmable. That's what the controller is doing. Digitally addressable LEDs are capable of. So yeah, if you basically see one of these LED strings where it's the same LED, but they're different colors, it's most likely this tech. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll actually have a Halloween show with talking pumpkins.
Most cool. Most cool. Okay, anybody else got any specific questions for Tyler here? Or? Hearing none, hopefully Tyler will stay with us in case somebody thinks of something here as we get into more general Q&A. But before we do that, first off, a big thank you to Tyler for putting this together. You just mentioned it on his talk last Wednesday night, and thought, hey, we're not really, since we're not getting together physically, we're kind of not doing anything for the holidays, and I figured, okay, this sounds good as far as holiday lighting type stuff. So thank you very much, Tyler, for putting it together in a week's time. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Oh, something I was trying to do, and it's just a little show and tell, I think.
Yeah, great. Well, something else that happened in the interim between last Wednesday and actually I think it came out on Thursday of last week. You may have caught on the news, and I put it out on Discuss. There's this vulnerability called Log4j that some of the news reports are saying is a pretty cataclysmic problem potentially. And so I figured I put a quick call into Tony here at the last minute, Tony Zafiropoulos, and with his background in security, figured maybe Tony could make a few comments as to just how serious this is and what we should be watching out for. So I'll ask Tony to say a few words. Go, Tony.
Okay, hello. How's everybody?
Fine.
So probably the best thing to do is to show you a picture. So this is as you can see, so I downloaded this from somebody that said that this is a perfect explanation of Log4j. It's basically Java insertion attack. So the attacker attacks the vulnerable server. You have a chance to block it with basically a web application firewall. You can disable Log4j, but the problem you have is that Log4j may be in all kinds of different applications. I just left a client. I scanned about 12 machines, and about 3 machines that we didn't really think had it. So we're gonna, like, either rebuild them or like update a whole bunch of software on that machine, or just unplug it, because if you don't have any protection, that machine can be hacked. I mean, I'm reading right now. If you're reading it in the news, it's really bad. So by the time it came out in the news, it's been out in the hacker circles for weeks, and if not months. So they're actively exploiting this. Everybody is out there. It's a lot of traffic on this. So if I were you, I would do some vulnerability analysis. And first of all, keep an eye out on your email and Log4j. I got an email from Graylog. It's a log server, open source. Well, you can pay them. It's a good log server company, and they emailed and said, hey, by the way, if you have version 2, version 3, you're going to have to update to the latest version, because all those can be hacked with Log4j. And that's it. You got to update. So I don't know if is this enough? I mean, the picture is better than me explaining it. I mean, it's going to be on it is on my website if you want to grab the it's Oversight Sentry. I have a blog. I could put it in the chat session.
That'd probably be good. Sure.
And I can put the blog post, I guess. I posted on this particular issue because Apache solved the problem, but so that's just one application, as you know. So if you have Apache and you may need to update Apache. So it depends on what you're using on, it depends. There are many ways
So-
of using. Go ahead.
So if I have a reverse proxy sitting in front of my Java application, how would I stop it? You say block with a WAF.
A WAF is a web application firewall, so it would have to be intelligent enough to understand an attack, and then it would deny the attack. That's why you need a WAF.
So what's the difference between a WAF and an Apache reverse proxy?
Well, I don't think a reverse proxy removes people coming from the other side. It doesn't remove attacks, or does it?
I've
It's
seen
not-
some people do some really crazy stuff with Apache.
Well, it's a possibility they have something like that. I mean, it's all these application firewall things. It's all in
So-
how good is it?
Right, so
It
what
requires
I'm
a lot
seeing
of
here,
manipulation.
so what I'm seeing here is that is it having the Jindy colon LDAP string in the user agent? Is that the primary way that they're getting to log4j? Right there where you say user agent, and it's that bracket where the Jindy LDAP.
Yeah.
So
think-
wouldn't it be simple enough just to say if the user agent contains Jindy colon LDAP, drop the connection?
Well, that's just one way of, this is the thing about, this is just one type of attack. There are many types of attacks. I would not profess to tell you that if you deny this one attack, you're now safe. That's not what I would be saying at all.
Well, we'll never safe completely, but the question is how big of a bite did we take out of their attack surface by saying, oh, if it has X, dump Y. Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, do you know if it's only X? I think
Nobody
could
knows
be
if-
XX, it could be XV, it could be XZ. So, I'm not actually actively developing, and I don't know. That's my blog if you want to go on it. I put a couple of items on there. I got my information from the Hacker News article, and then I put this image on there as well. So this is a much more complex attack than this one image shows. This is just a sample of one attack. Just to give you an idea how you could disable the attacks, how you could prevent attacks from happening. But this is the thing with these attacks. They come in from many different methods.
Tony, that URL, that URL you just sent me, did you want to send that to everyone or just?
Oh, right. Minor details.
I can forward it to everybody.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. It's fine.
So if someone were to do the update and put in the newer release of log4j, you wouldn't have to go through and
That's correct. So if you
Wow.
update it, if you have Graylog version 2, and which has the log4j vulnerability, so if you upgraded to the newest version to Graylog version 4, you don't have to worry about the attack.
Yeah.
That's the way you have to handle this. Don't. If you for whatever reason it might take you, let's say, 2 months to update, that's when you need to do these kinds of things. You need to have a Palo Alto firewall, or you need to have some kind of heavy duty intrusion prevention system that, and then you got to put it in the DMZ. So then you can protect that machine. That's the way you handle that. A reverse proxy, I don't think that's not good enough. You need an intrusion prevention system. You need heavy duty firepower to help you. And if somebody is developing a web application firewall and they're giving it away for free, I apologize, but that's not good enough.
But again, it's all about what measured steps can we take right now. Of course, the best way to go in is to update log4j. But the problem is I have a web appliance that has Java on it, and I'm not allowed to touch any of those files. And right now I'm seeing and watching the vendor say, we haven't checked this one yet. And I'm like, you do know that product has domain admin rights in my network. It'd be kind of nice to make sure it's not going to let the bad guys in. The best thing that I have is it's not on the internet. It's only an internal application. But if I can go and say, according to the apache.org mod_headers directive.
So what actual machine is it? What, can you give me a little more detail? You can put it in the chat just to me if you want.
It's an Broadcom identity management solution, all written in Java.
Broadcom?
I guess they put it on the semantic name. I've checked multiple sources, including them. They've all said it's not either not affected or they're looking into it.
Yeah, what they need to do is do some analysis.
If I can take a step back and expand this for just a second, when they first started talking about this log4j problem last week, I at least got the impression that, okay, this was only going to affect Apache servers, but what I've started understanding, if I'm not misunderstanding, is since the problem is actually log4j, and log4j is used on other things other than just Apache. Apparently, there's log4j running on your Android phone if you're running certain applications. So I've been told there's log4j that actually runs in an iWatch. So I don't know if that's a fact or not, but at least people are starting to question that. So
it's the open source logging solution for Java. Does it run Java?
Then it's probably got log4j logging it. And
then somebody might most likely when it said, okay, well, this works. It's like me going and pulling the mistune regex library. I needed to do it. It's in my Python instance.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't find anything specific on that. But it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. It's
right. So my theory is as a Band-Aid while I'm waiting for Symantec/Broadcom to get the rear end gear and actually check the software, yank Jindy out of any of the headers. If it says Jindy : on anything, why is it there? I'd rather they have the connection break if it has it in there. Then you can't talk to the server. But
yeah,
well, at least you're taking away one attack vector.
Yes.
There was
nothing will be ever hacker proof. I just patched Django this last weekend because somebody found a ability to become other people in the framework.
Right.
It's always reducing the attack surface to as minimal as possible.
Okay, let me
That's why
Yeah.
my programs sit behind an application firewall and people have to VPN in to use it. But yes, I am staring at the mod_headers on Apache right now to see if there's a way I can tell it to nuke that part of the cookie.
So is that Jindy ever got a legitimate reason to be around? I'm not familiar with it.
So take a look at this. This is the green bone. This this is the OpenBAS vulnerability software that is for free on Kali Linux, as well as on, you can download it and build it yourself.
Tony, can you increase the size on that font size?
Yeah. Well, how do you do that on how about that?
It's a bit better.
Okay.
Much nicer.
So this is their, because they basically developed vulnerability tests in the last few days for Log4j. These are all the different types of attacks and the CVEs and NBTs. So these are the different things that they will check for on your machine. So, you know, TCP, UDP, SIP. So these are, that's why I said that there's that one attack vector that you're looking at does not take into account these other attack vectors. VMware, you know, it's, you know, everybody and their brother is getting potential problems here. And this is just beginning, I think, personally. It's just the first week here of people really analyzing this. We'll
Hey, Tony,
we can
quick
reconvene in a couple of months, I guess. But I finally got my OpenBAS updated to the latest version, and because it was obsolete, so I was able to build it. I have to figure out so this is the Q&A. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. So I need to create a for me to show you my laptop, which doesn't have that many client files on it, or I can at least remove some stuff so I can show you an actual scan. I'm going to have to go to it from this machine. So what is a good VNC software for on Kali Linux or on Ubuntu? What do you guys do? Do you guys even do that?
Type VNC? No, wait, that's Windows. What do I have here?
Linux.
No, tight VNC is pretty much good on everything.
Is it?
Which, I'm sorry, I got a phone call I had to take. Where's this discussion going right now?
What's a good VNC client?
On Ubuntu, I just always use X11 VNC to create the window on whatever target machine, and then I use VNC viewer to look at it.
Oh, okay.
Works over a network. It seems pretty
So there's several
bulletproof, really.
choices, and I've been playing with them myself. I don't have a preference. VNC viewer, KRDC will speak both RDP and VNC for KDE, and Remina is the GNOME equivalent to KRDC that speaks both RDP and VNC.
What's the KDE one you mentioned?
K remote desktop client, KRDC.
Oh, K remote, okay. Very good. So then I'll play with that. Then by the time February rolls around, I don't know, I guess I could be ready January, but anyway, February will give me more time. I could do, I could show you guys the latest version, 21.4 Greenbone. They renamed it. OpenVAS is no longer OpenVAS. It's GVM now. Greenbone Vulnerability Management Suite. So of course they want to sell you their products, but they actually do a pretty good job. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with. They have like over 75,000, vulnerability signatures. And look, in 3 days they put out quite a few things, and they give it to the free community edition as well. So here's they explain, they give it, of course, they give you the enterprise feed priority. Anyways, all right, that's good. I mean, I just wanted to show you this because I remember looking at this, and it kind of gives you a little better overview of what's going on with Log4j.
Yeah, thanks. That really does kind of highlight a little bit more what's happening there. Lee, you were trying to ask something, I think.
Yeah, it looked to me like most of the vulnerabilities were Apache 2.5 and older. Was that true? Or 2.15 and older?
Yeah, they are looking that way.
Which means if you're running 2.4, which is fairly current, it's not there.
Yeah, the thing is like, I think this is why I say this is what they're certain of right now. So they need to do more tests. I've seen where you need to be, in an even more like 4 or higher. I actually did. I don't have the I'd have to log into my machine. I just did some scans, so I'd have to log into my machine and email myself or something to show you guys one of the results. I don't know if you guys want to wait.
This is Stan. I'm thinking that maybe Greenbone was creating those tests for their customers.
Yes.
They may say that they may have been tracking their customers, and most of their customers have got these versions, and so they're testing all those versions strictly for their customer base. Or not strictly, but that'd be their primary area of testing.
That's a good point, Stan. Yeah. It would really make sense. Yeah, you can't blame anybody for first servicing their own customers. Yeah.
Well, I just I might have to restart the laptop here. It'll take me a little longer. I just came in from off site, so now it's like stuck or something.
Yeah, I just caught Tony here really at the beginning of our meeting, not even the beginning, into our meeting, and figured he was much better. He would most likely be much better suited to address these issues than I. So.
There's more to this than this story, than this basic. I think that it's just good. This is still just the beginning. People are doing a lot of analysis. Every company is doing analysis on their own software to see if it is going to be attacked or not. I would not take anything for granted as far as 2.5 would be okay or not. I mean, it's better to have 2.5 than 2.1, but anyway, very good.
CERT,
thank you.
CERT has rated this as a level 10 problem. As bad as you can get.
The reason they rate that level a 10 is because it's a remote code execution.
Right.
When I worked at Pfizer, those were the ones that we were worried about the most. Because basically you don't have to have authentication. All you got to do is be able to ping the machine. And then you can attack it and take it over. That's why it's so dangerous. If you're on the internet with this problem, your machine can be taken over. So if you're behind a firewall, then it's a phishing thing, you know. Then once they have your machine, then they can take over more machines, et cetera, et cetera. So the hackers are feverishly trying to develop exploits. It's a game now. You'll once you're in the news, it's too late. It's already been out there for months. You know, that's my opinion. If you're in the news, everything's been already hashed out. You're now talking to your lawyers and stuff, and whether you're going to stay a concern or not. Anyway, pretty good. I got lots of other work to do.
All right. Well, thank you very, very much, Tony. Appreciate your input.
Got a lot of machines to scan.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Like I said, I'll talk to Gary. Probably February is good, once I figure it all out and I set it all up.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
All right. Other Q&A, general Q&A stuff.
Well, hey, Tyler,
Yeah.
I just installed one tab on my Brave browser. And if I've got a window open and got, you know, umpteen tabs, when I click on the one tab thing, the browser window goes away.
Oh yeah, because it shunted them all into one tab. So if you start up on a blank one and you, I believe it's right click on that.
Oh, I see. So it literally shuts down the window.
Yeah, it takes all the tabs, shoves it into a cache, and shuts down the window. The idea is that if you're working on something, you can click this button, and it will close all those browser tabs and know where you are, and then you have the ability to click on restore all.
Okay, let me see if I got this right. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. How much is? Holy cow! That really did. That actually gave back the memory. I'm not used to seeing that, Tyler. Hey, that works pretty slick. And the most impressive thing was that it actually, no joke, gave back the memory. I'm not even sure that's possible on Windows, but it sure works on Ubuntu.
Isn't it nice to get something back?
It's nice to see something that works as advertised. That's for dang sure. Pardon my cynicism, but
Hey, by the way, Tyler's having trouble with his headset, so he's still with us on chat, but we may not be able to hear him anymore. So, or he may not be able to hear us.
How about
I could hear that.
We heard you, Tyler.
Zoom went? How should I put this?
The correct word is Tango uniform.
Zoom went nutso on. I had to restart it.
Yeah, I had to do that earlier. I had to reboot my whole computer. I mean, the computer was still running. I could SSH in from somewhere else, but I don't know.
Okay.
All right, so we're talking
I'm
about
gonna call-
VNC. I had a VNC. I used VNC as a diagnostic tool this week.
How so, Stanford?
Let's see how to describe the problem. A customer sent a processor to us for repair. We as we started reloading the OS, we got to the point where it was it's a headless processor, but in order to admin it, you have to connect it to a keyboard and monitor. It was
Right.
running a version of Red Hat 6. I think it was running 6.8, and in the process of it, I upgraded it to 6.10. But there was one monitor in the office that it liked. Every other monitor that you connected it to, whether would have a problem with X. If you were running, init 3 is non-graphics login and init 5 is graphics login. So if you were running init 5, then as soon as it booted up, you just got this, the big blue screen with no login prompt on it. Or if you ran init 3, then as soon as you logged in to TTY1 and said start X, then you got the big blue screen with no desktop.
Huh.
But one monitor, it worked. But every other monitor we connected it to exhibited this weirdness. I asked Carl to help me troubleshoot it, so he connected over VNC. He said, "Well, it works fine for me." What is well, the more we looked at it, somehow the GUI had gotten into it was trying to manage 2 monitors instead of 1. And so the physical monitor was on the right half of the screen where you couldn't see anything, and the VNC was connecting to the left half of the screen. It was really weird until we got into both KDE and GNOME and reconfigured the display settings to say, put the same thing on both monitors. Is anybody still out there?
I am. I hear you.
Okay.
I'm here.
Yeah.
We were all just amazed.
I don't know how it got into that condition. And like I said, I slowly worked my way out of it. But the interesting thing was that VNC helped us figure out that what you see on the physical monitor, the VNC was binding to the virtual monitor, and the physical monitor was the physical monitor, and the X session was trying to spread the display over both monitors.
Yeesh.
Weirdest problem we've had.
Where did you pick up that information, Stanford?
We stumbled into it. I mean, when I asked Carl to troubleshoot, he said, "Well, I see the start menu, the dash, he had different screen resolution on VNC than I had on the physical monitor."
Well, VNC usually creates a virtual monitor to connect, and it runs its own X session.
Well, the VNC is supposed to attach to the console. You know, whatever BNC server or whatever is on what port 5900 is serving up the console. Whatever Linux thinks the console is, you know, either the TTY1 or the Control Alt F7 or, you know, whatever the current console is.
I thought they just created their own virtual console, virtual terminal, virtual screen rather.
No, because then now both people when you VNC into a VNC server, the physical server then puts this red outline around the edge of your screen saying someone is connected and watching every move of your mouse and spying on you, and the two of you are fighting over the control of the mouse. It's a, hey, watch me do this. It's not RDP. RDP is a remote login session. A VNC takes control of the console.
I think would cause that. I've never used VNC enough to see that. Every time I use it, it gives me a clean login session.
Maybe there are different ways to configure it.
Yeah, could be. Because the biggest problem
I tell you what it is. It depends what a port you attach to. If you attach to 5900, you get the console. If you attach to 5901, it creates you a new session. If you attach to 5902, it creates you a new session. You know, in other words, it's like :0, :1, :2.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I'm going to go over to my other one.
Now I'm having a different problem. That was one customer. Then I switched to it. Today I worked on a different customer's headless display, and VNC isn't the issue here because it happens whether you're on the physical console or on VNC, but because it's a headless machine, we want to be able to connect over VNC. But you get, and it's running a NIT5. So you get this big, rich graphical login. You log in, at the bottom, it says, do you want KDE or GNOME? It doesn't matter which one you pick. They both behave the same way. You log in, you get a screen, you get a dashboard, you pop up some clients. Now you're ready to log out. You click log out. Well, you expect it to, blink and give the next person a fresh login screen. It never finishes logging out properly. There's something I just discovered at mid-afternoon, haven't had time to diagnose it yet, but both problems, yesterday's problem and today's problem, are not X11 problems, but X session problems. The GNOME session or the KDE session was either, yesterday it was duplicating the display on one customer's processor. Today, it's you log in, it works fine, and when you go to shut down, the session doesn't finish exiting so that the display manager can start a new one.
Okay.
In fact, it gets so bad that when you SSH in behind the scenes and start killing the things that you think are part of the display session, then all of a sudden your SSH session gets locked up. I think the OS on this customer's is sick. At least from a GUI point of view, as long as it's just acting as a server, and doing and controlling the hardware because it's running a radar, it runs fine. But when you start trying to log in and out of it, the session manager is not well behaved, and it's not well behaved like I said, the worst part about it is you go into an SSH session and you start trying to manage the system there, and now the SSH session is locked up, and the only thing you can do is hit the reset button on the front of the processor.
What if you log in with SSH and did a NIT3?
Well, what did I do there? I did that. What happened? I don't remember. In fact, I think that's where I was having some trouble. I did like a NIT3, a NIT5, a NIT3, a NIT5. And yet on yesterday's processor, it would bounce back and forth between a NIT3 and a NIT5. And these are both RHEL 6 loads, but they have slightly different parentage. On today's processor, a NIT3, a NIT5, a NIT3, now you're locked up again. It's really having trouble, you know, managing, you know, in whatever that is. What do you want to say? RC3, you know, Etsy and NIT.D daemon, you know, killing and starting demons when you transition from one run level to another level is really messing up this guy. I don't know what it is. It's probably going to turn out to be something that one particular demon that you're trying to kill is waiting on some resource and timing out. That's probably what it's going to turn out to be. You know, that it's like I started up fine, but when you tell me to shut down, then I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to shut off the audio or shut off the mouse or you know, echo to a log file that's remote or something, you know, something weird, and that is blocking. So it starts up, but it doesn't. But during shutdown, it blocks for some reason and locks the whole thing up. And I let it sit there for an hour. It didn't recover.
Hey, say, can you, Sanford, can you turn your volume up a little bit? I'm having trouble hearing you.
No one ever tells me that I talk too softly. Let's see where that is.
Well, now you're okay. Whatever you did before, you sound fine.
I really didn't do much. I just, you know, the laptop that's in my lap and maybe the orientation of the pickup is closer to my lips, but
it doesn't always take much.
Right.
And I just have running a session. I started X11 VNC. I went SSH over to another computer, started X11, and then I come back to my main desktop and started VNC viewer. And yeah, it's connected to port 5900, and it just, you know, grabs that session with whatever that user was. Well, me, but it just grabs that session at 5900. It just grabs whatever it was doing.
Well, does 5900 connect to your session if it's the same login where 5901 starts a new one, starts a new login, starts a new session? Is that not the way it's supposed to work?
I said that, Lee, but the question is who's listening on port 5901, right? I mean, 5900 is the VNC server, you know, is listening on 5900, and you can start a, you know, I'm trying to think of where because I got into that. It's like, what's on 5901, 5902, 5903. And for those who are still listening, let's remind everybody that the VNC server has its own password. When you connect to the VNC port, you don't get prompted for a username and password. You get prompted for the password that was set up when you configured the VNC server. It could be none. It could be blank.
Yeah.
You always bring us some really tough, weird ones, Stanford. This is a good one. This is
Well, I mean,
weird.
we're just learning about VNC tonight, and I gave you yesterday's problems and today's problems and like I said, I've been using different VNC clients, and I've got we've still got some REL 5 machines running around the shop, and so I've been using several different versions of KRDC and VNC viewer, and the newer ones work better than the old ones.
This is Stan. I've got two essentially identical machines, and I connect to them using X2Go. And one of them, it's very difficult for it to shut it down. The other one shuts down just fine. And the one that's the problem, I have to do a sudo reboot space dash dash reboot in order for it to reboot this thing. And the other one is no problem. This other one, it seems like every once in a while, it just will not shut down. I'm thinking it might be firmware or something.
What is X2Go? Is that another VNC
It's
client?
It's like Remina.
Oh, it's okay. It's like Remina. Does it speak both RDP and VNC?
I think so, yeah.
Remina was pretty cool. Not only did Remina speak RDP and VNC, it also spoke SSH, SFTP, FTP, and several different protocols for, logging into a remote host. You just want an SFTP command line, use Remina.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Remina has one problem I found. I had to set up a Linux box for RDP, and once I did, Remina wouldn't connect. I had to use a Windows host. So there's a lot of weird crap going around, bouncing around in protocols.
I
I
may be
agree with you.
confused.
All of these clients act a little differently with whatever server you pointed at.
Yeah. I may be mistaken about it doing the RDA or the window protocol.
Mixing VNC clients and servers is like mixing mixed drinks at a bar. You just don't mix vermouth with rum.
Yeah. I hate to say, guys, but it's East Coast time here. I'm gonna have to quit for the night. I made Steve host so he can carry it till you want to stop.
Where are you on the East Coast?
East Coast time. We're in
North or
Indianapolis.
South?
Indianapolis.
Oh, well, that's East Coast time. Yeah.
That's what I said. East Coast time. All right. We'll see you guys later.
Bye, Lee.
Bye, Lee.
Thanks,
Take
Lee.
care, Lee.
Bye. Well, anybody else have any helpful comments on Stanford's situation?
No, but I'd like to say I've been real cranky today.
Well, thanks.
You
Sorry.
mentioned that.
You didn't bring it to the meeting tonight, so.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
You
weren't here when I got
He
cranky.
said it right off the bat.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh my.
Okay, anybody have any other good technical comments or questions?
Yeah, I have one other one. These two boxes that came back from the customers.
Yeah.
One of them, they needed, the hardware was broken. So I took the system disk out, stuck it in new hardware. It didn't like the new hardware. So that put an old system disk in new hardware and boot it. And it says, kernel taint.
What?
So then I upgraded, I booted off of install media and it said, I found a system disk out here. You want me to upgrade it? And it's like, yeah, because I already backed it up. So if you mess me up, I can recover it. And yeah, and then it upgraded from 6.8 to 6.10 and then bye-bye kernel taint. But what the heck is a kernel taint?
Spell that.
TAINT.
Wow, never saw that one before.
I mean, I'm guessing that the motherboard is too new for the old kernel. Yeah, put the system disk back in the old processor, boots fine, but the other problems with the motherboard, the serial port and the VGA port and whatever the customer sent it back for, that's broken. But the kernel will boot the old motherboard. It just won't boot the new motherboard unless you upgrade it.
Rudie just posted that his headset died.
And most people aren't seeing this because we're still living with RHEL 6, which is end of life. If you've moved on to RHEL 7, then you've got a good kernel. But if you've got some old versions of RHEL 6, going to have a trouble with new hardware.
Actually, I think that's still the same headset died post that Rudie that Tyler put out a long time ago. In fact, I don't think Tyler is with us any longer. He was kind of yawning, and he was trying to say that he had to get off. And so,
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, Tyler bombed out.
Since Tony Z is not online anymore, the problem that he was describing and, sounding the Chicken Little alarm is only if you're running a web server?
No.
No, I think that was the point I was trying to make. Was initially that seemed to be what most of the news media chatter was about. But this log4j is an open source logging software that is for Java. And so, yes, it is used by Apache. And so that definitely is something which is a good target. But basically anything that makes a lot of use of Java and needs to keep a log for some reason is very possibly going to wind up just pulling this open source log4j software and utilizing it. So yeah, apparently it is actually like in an iWatch. It's in an Android phone. Maybe not all the Android phones, but if there's anything running Java, it could very well have log4j in it as well.
Okay, well, you quantified it for me. And yes, it's widespread, but it's limited to Java. If you're just doing other stuff that doesn't have Java, then you're probably not at risk.
Probably not.
Because I didn't know if it was it's a Java log, not a what's the other thing that out there when it's like I want all of my logs forwarded to a log server. That's Graylog, right?
Stan Reichert, I think you're familiar with Graylog.
No.
No? Okay. I thought I heard you talking about it before.
No, I was thinking rsync, and it's systemd's logging is no, that's wrong.
But I think Graylog, I forget how my coworker was brought in Graylog and he was touting it, and I said, fine, go have at it and whatever. And it's like, yeah, you install the Graylog client on all of your systems, and you have it forward all of your syslogs to the Graylog server, and then the Graylog management tools on the server are just give you a much better reporting system of show me all my kernel logs, show me all my SSH logs, show me all my, it's better than rather than you just sitting there trying to awk and grep the var log and try and understand systemd log messages. Graylog is a manager, but again, it's an agent and a client, right? So I mean, you hope it's only sending out logs, but that agent is sitting on your box, and if it's got a vulnerability, then people can come in and own your box. But I don't know if that's true. But where evidently this Java log it's not just logging locally. It's somehow got a network exposure to it.
Yeah, apparently, and I don't totally understand that mechanism, but Yeah.
So we'll understand it better in February, is that right?
Technically, he's going to talk more about this Greenbone vulnerability manager, but I'm sure if we bring this subject up again, he'll probably be in a position that he can comment a little bit more on that.
Jonathan Drews posted something about WPS Office Suite for Mac, Linux, and Windows. I'm not sure what his point is, whether that's something vulnerable or something he wanted to talk about. Jonathan, can you unmute yourself? You have a mic?
Yeah, I should have said, Stan, that is a free Office suite
Right.
for Linux. And there's nothing wrong with it. I just thought I'd post it for people who wanted to experiment with it.
I was thinking it was out of China.
WPS? I don't know.
But it's been touted as being one of the most compatible with Microsoft Windows Office suites and so forth. But then that's because they've hacked and they've got all the code for Microsoft Windows and etc.
Nothing wrong with that. Couldn't have happened to a nicer bunch of guys.
There you go.
So if I could just say one other thing.
Go ahead.
I'm going to post this in chat. I had problems with scanning, and I found a solution. And the solution is to remove, oh gosh, IPP USB DX. Let me see if I can. Hold on, Stan. I just have to make sure that this is. Well, oh no, it's XD. Okay. Stan, you still there?
Oh, yeah. There's about 8 of us here yet.
Yep.
Oh. Is Microsoft still having all their trouble with printing? They had a big patch Tuesday the other day. Did they fix printing or not? Just curious.
I wasn't aware of it.
I have no idea. I'm still running Windows 7 and it works fine.
So scanner won't work in Ubuntu. Solution is to remove IPP USB XD. Do sudo
And you get rid of it, and then it'll work.
Okay.
I just thought I would mention that.
Okay.
For,
okay. App get removed. All right. Well,
just out of curiosity, what is IPP USB XD supposed to be doing?
That is a great question. And as far as I can tell, here's a description of it. I'll post it in chat from GitHub. And I think what it allows you to do is to use the Internet Printing Protocol to scan. There you go. But a lot of people have had problems with it, Gary, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Guys, important on Linux. Linux is secure, so if you have an online store, you need to be able to admin your store. And the two things you have to be able to do with online stores is print packing lists, because your packing list that you send to your customer is an exact record of what they clicked on that website. So if they come back and they said, I ordered red and you sent me green, you can say, no, the packing list shows that you ordered red.
Mhm.
You must have misclicked. Send it back and we'll give you a refund.
Hmm.
The scanner is when you get products from your supplier and you need to scan off their packing list. And then you store that in your computer. So that, I just thought I would mention that's the big picture of why scanning and printing is important.
Okay.
Now, does that just fix a certain model of or brand or of print of scanners, or just that
I think
one model?
I think it fixes all of them, Stan. The way I found out about this was I thought it was an AppArmor issue. It may
Right.
have been an AppArmor issue. That AppArmor is blocking the IPP USB XD. It's a daemon.
Right.
It's a separate package in Ubuntu. And I finally came across an Ubuntu help forum in French. And I translated the conversation with Google Translate. And the Frenchman said, remove this package. So it's a package. It's not a core part of your Ubuntu system. And my scanner worked.
When you use a scanner like that, what do you end up with? A PDF of the piece of the 8x11 that you fed into it?
Yeah, it depends on your software. Now with Sane and Xsane, Sane is scanner access now easy. You can tell it to output to an XPDF, a PDF rather. Okay.
I think you can also output to a TTF file, I think. And
But I think my question is whatever it is, it's a picture. It's not text. The computer can't read it. It's just a photograph. It's a only humans can make sense out of it. It's not like an OCR scanner that reads in, converts text back into ASCII or whatever.
well, there's a PDF to text program that will convert PDFs and extract them to or build a purely text file. I use it with our planning schedule report, and so it will work with some PDFs to create text output.
That's a different layer of tool.
Right.
Stan, I couldn't. My Zoom flaked out on me, so I had to reboot it. What were you guys saying about?
Sorry.
This is Jonathan. What were you guys saying? My
We were
audio.
Stanford was asking what kind of output your scanner produced, whether it was just a PDF or text or one of those.
Yeah,
funky-
so you with Sane, which is a package in Debian and also in other Linuxes.
Yeah, I've used Sane and Xsane.
And yeah, so you can select PDF. If you use a different one like a GNOME package, you can always use Graphics Magic or Image Magic and convert them.
But my point is it's going to be an image. It's not going to be ASCII text that then you can word process. It's just a picture.
Correct. So you have to use
That's
one of those
Dan
things.
said. Some other third-party picture-to-text converter.
And Sane comes with that.
Oh,
I forget what the name of it was. Developed by Hewlett Packard. OCR. The HP OCR was really good. Hold on, Stanford, I'll tell you what it is.
Well, I was saying that also there's a PDF to TXT program that will convert the PDF to and generate text from it.
Yes. So there are a number of, you can convert it to text. Yeah. So Stan is absolutely right. That's probably the better way to go. And let me see. Hold on, guys. I'll post this in the chat.
10-minute warning, by the way.
Stan, you developed an echo about 3 sentences ago.
I had my microphone open, turned mine off. I could hear the echo.
Where is Gary's echo coming from? Batcave?
Well, I just heard you talking, Stanford, and I heard a distinct echo, so it was not me because my mic was shut off at that point. And nope, I am not at the bat cave. I'm in my own cave.
The only mic that's open is Jonathan.
Yeah, sorry, guys. I will. So I can't find it must be a package, but Stan is right. There's a package that converts PDF to text. But you can do it directly from the image using OCR. I can't remember the name of the OCR.
What happened to your microphone? I lost you all of a sudden. Is anybody still out there? I lost
I'm
all
here.
the sound.
Stan is still here.
Okay.
Yeah, and we just saw your smiling face, Steve.
Stanford, I'm looking for the name of this optical character recognition program. It's common on Linux and
I just wanted to know when you said this, it's done in software then. It's not dependent upon which hardware scanner you buy.
it's called Tesseract. It was developed by Hewlett Packard, ported to Linux, and it works very well. Okay, Tesseract is the name of the software.
Proprietary or open source or what?
It's open source, Stan. It should be. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on, please, while I do a apt cache and see if it's there. Oh, this is not even. I'm on FreeBSD. What am I thinking? I'm sure it's in Tesseract is in Ubuntu, as well as SUSE and other. It's very widely used.
How do you spell it?
With a T.
Hold on, please. Yeah, hold on, guys. And there, I just posted it in chat.
Okay.
But if you do an apt cache, if you're running Ubuntu, apt cache search, then it'll describe it for you. I think that that's the command.
Feel the same way, Steve.
Yeah. Notice that my wife has commented many times that when I get behind the wheel of a car, I start yawning within about 3 or 4 minutes.
Know the feeling.
Gary,
The
I'm
question-
sitting here scratching my head trying to come up with more problems, but I came up with another solution. Remind me next month to brag about MOBE term.
MOBX term.
MOBE. It's a Windows,
MOBE.
it's a Windows product that makes your Windows system almost usable.
Oh my gosh.
What an attitude.
It bundles PuTTY and it bundles SSH and an X server together, so into one package. So you start Mobex term and then you get a nice big black window, and then when you SSH somewhere, the X display comes back. It starts an X server that is then connected to all of the, like I said, it's real nice. It's an X term, an SSH, and an X server, all bundled into one client, and you don't even have to install it. You can just download it into your, you can get it as an MSI or a zip. I mean, you just explode the zip into some local folder and run it. So you can take it off when you're done.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to run upstairs for a couple of minutes and take my dog out. I'll be back.
Bob Levitt, what is MX?
Just a second here. Let me get over there.
I believe that's a version of Linux
That's
distro.
that's just another Linux distro.
And he's been running the talk has been about version 19 and version 21. Did you say, Bob? Robert?
Yeah, 21.
Has anybody ever done a presentation on that distro and its pros and cons?
No, you're welcome to if you want to.
Oh no, I want someone who understands it to do it.
Well, I'm beginning to understand it a little bit. Honestly, God, I couldn't really give much of a presentation.
Well, you could next month you can just share your screen and say, this is what my desktop looks like, and when I click here I get this, and when I click here I get that, and it's more like it supports both KDE and GNOME, but it's very Windowsy, or it reminds me of SUSE, or it reminds me more of, I mean, I guess it's Ubuntu based probably.
It's Debian based, yes.
Yeah, or Debian, excuse me, I used the wrong word. It's Debian
That's okay.
package manager based.
I think it's renowned for working with older hardware too, isn't it?
I'm using it on a brand new laptop, so I mean, it works fine.
Well, it works well with old stuff, and it runs like a striped ape on new stuff.
Uh-huh.
That's the point.
Yeah.
And I think it uses the XFCE Windows environment, I think.
It can use XFCE. It can also use KDE.
Okay.
Just when I was starting to like Mint.
Well, I can show you what it, what I can, what I can do with it, and just simply, we can check out a couple of things on it. Okay.
That'd be
That sounds
great.
good. We'll
Yeah.
check back with you next month and ask you.
Okay.
All right, well, Robert, I'll be in touch and we'll figure out figure out the scheduling. And
Good enough.
Yeah, just put him in the tutorial section, not the main.
Okay, we can do that.
Gary and others,
Jonathan,
an office suite I use on my Ubuntu is SoftMaker Office, and that works really good. But you got to pay for it. But I thought I'd mention it. It's also available for Mac.
Was that SoftMaker?
SoftMaker Office.
Okay.
And
why do you
I've just
find it
recently
to be-
installed that on my
What do you like about it? What
Gary, the documentation is really good. So if somebody sends you something and it has a pivot table in it, you never used pivot tables,
uh-huh.
then you can read SoftMaker's documentation on pivot tables and know how to work it.
Oh.
Right. So I mean, oops, whoopsie. Trying to post the link in. Hold on. Here we go, Gary. So it's good for Mac. Which is there we go. So I just posted that, and that's the link to their. You can try it out. There's a free trial for 10 days or something.
Cool.
Oh, interesting. I ought to see
Well,
if
you
that's
have.
on MX.
Do you guys want me to show you what it looks like? I'll fire up a Ubuntu and I can share my screen.
For Office software, what's the? It's been. I know it by two names. It's either called Open Office or LibreOffice, and I forget which one's the old name and which one's the new name.
Open Office is the old project. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Stan.
No, Jonathan, go ahead.
Yeah, you go, Jonathan.
Open Office is the old project. It was purchased. It was sucked up by Oracle. The developers didn't want to work with Oracle because of their proprietary machinations or whatever. They left, and it became LibreOffice.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, 3 months after they left and set up LibreOffice, they incorporated over 100 patches that had been sandbagged by Oracle because they wanted to promote selling their commercial version that they had.
Star Office.
Star Office, yeah.
So LibreOffice is an ongoing concern?
Oh yes, I use it constantly, and it's in virtually all of the major distros. I think they're up to version 7.2. The Open Office thing, Oracle turned it over to the Apache organization because they were too embarrassed to just totally give it away. They made some kind of deal with the Apache group. I think essentially the requirement was that they, in my opinion, was they couldn't free up the trademark Open Office. I think that was their way of tying it up by giving it to the Apache folks.
So now they're both out there, both the Open Office brand name and the LibreOffice brand name are out there competing with each other?
Yes, although the open office thing is they've only had like two update, maybe three updates in a course of what, 10 years or something like that. Whereas I think they went from version 4 up to, no, or 3 something, I think it was. And now LibreOffice is up to version 7.4 right now.
Mhm.
So it's they're you know and most of the tie-up has been because a lot of the open office stuff had a lot of commercials, uh, proprietary things embedded in it. I think that was part of the problem. I don't know for sure.
So LibreOffice is a pretty strong competitive contender. And
Oh, yes.
my next question is well, if it's pretty strong, then why do we need all of these other office suites?
Well, have you ever been to a what do they call it? A art museum? You know, they have more than one picture on the wall, right? And you go to a car dealership to buy a car. Do you want a Chevy or a Ford or a Dodge or what is it you want?
They
Stan,
all look the same now.
Well,
Stan,
Yeah,
can I just interject?
It's like,
Go
do you
ahead.
want a flat blade screwdriver, a Phillips head, a pentalobe? You know, you got to have more than one type of screwdriver, right?
yeah. Well, it's like, you got to have more than one standard. If you got 12 standards and they don't work, let's come up with a new standard, and then you got 13 standards.
That's it.
Gary and Stan, can I just say this?
Sure.
Go ahead.
The saving feature of SoftMaker Office is its form letter generation program is really good. So for instance, it has a database for your address book. And let's say you want to send out snail mail letters to a whole bunch of people who buy your product. You can then create that letter and it will instantiate all those addresses and all those letters, and you can print them out.
I've done that with LibreOffice myself.
I find SoftMaker Office's way to make form letters a lot more intuitive.
It could be.
Personally.
Could be. Yeah, but I'm cheap.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's something to be said for that. But that I'm just explaining to Stanford why I use that is because of its form letter generation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It does a really good.
That's a reason, right? Like you said, if you
Good reason.
this one's better for drawing, this one's better for word processing, this one's better for form letters, this one's got a better built-in database.
Yep.
Yep, Stan is the expert on the database for databases.
Hey, excuse me.
I object. I object.
I love this conversation. I'm going to listen to it on the recording later, but I've got to take this phone call that's coming in. So I'm going to depart for the night. And thank you all. This has been really good. So, but please keep talking. I really am going to come back and listen to the distinctions between these different office suites because that's what I want to know. Thanks, Jonathan.
Okay. So at any rate, Stan and Stanford, if you want, I can fire up my Ubuntu and show you. But the other thing is, SoftMaker Office is almost a dead ringer for the modern Microsoft Office suite. So if you had
which one, the one you install on your computer or the one that runs in the cloud?
I think the one that you install on your computer, but give me a second and I'll show it to you. Okay, guys, hold on.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
The cat is noisy tonight. Whoa.
In fact, Stan, if you want, maybe sometime next year I could do a presentation on SoftMaker. Unless
that'd be
SLUG
nice.
is against.
No, we're not
proprietary.
against that. We're not against proprietary stuff. If it'll run on a Unix, Linux, or BSD kind of box, we're interested in it. If it's something
It
that
only-
has some, if it's something
Yeah,
that
it
has
only-
some compatibility features, if it's you know, we're interested in it.
The most common one, guys, is LibreOffice, which Stan knows about, and that comes on every Linux and every BSD. Even open obscure ones like OpenBSD. Okay, so you can't go wrong with LibreOffice. I just find its mail merge to be a bit difficult to use.
I've
As a-
been using LibreOffice for years and I've never had a problem with it. I
Well,
don't do mailings though, so you know, I don't know anything about that sort of thing.
the mail merge in LibreOffice had been extremely difficult early on. I think they've improved it, but I haven't had to do it in about 3 or 4 years, so I don't know what kind of improvements they've done to it as far as usability. Although I read that it has been improved, but I mean I was doing it 10 years ago. I was able to do it because I did it with my high school reunion database. I'd mark stuff for people we didn't have an email address, and we generate a letter. You know. But you know, I will object to being called an expert because the definition of an expert is somebody that has a job and they've been assigned to be the expert for that topic. Since I don't work, I'm not an expert.
Stan, I'm going to leave for a second and join through Ubuntu because
All right.
I'll get feedback from these two laptops. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. All magic. Do 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 do. Stand. Where'd you go? Mm-hmm. 9:13. LibreOffice was essentially their database thing. They use a thing called SQL, I think is the name of the database.
Oh, boy.
That's embedded in it,
Mhm.
and it uses Java to do some of the stuff. But essentially, it going right into it, it can support other databases. It can support MySQL, PostgreSQL, or however you say that, and a number of other databases.
Yeah.
But it's more like a front end tool for doing stuff with it, with a other database. And they were about version 6.4. They've been experimenting with Firebase, I think is the name of the database, but they had so many problems they've backed off on that.
One database I've been very interested in is MariaDB.
It works with that too. You can have that. You can set up MariaDB, and then you can use the LibreOffice stuff and to create forms and do reports and all kinds of stuff. Essentially, the output it looks exactly like Microsoft's Access of all things.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, when I first started using it, I actually went to the county library, got one of these graphical how-to use books, and they had a graphical book on how to use Microsoft Access. And the only difference between Microsoft Access and the database that they had embedded in LibreOffice was 4 terms. Period. And and the problem I had was that the built-in man pages or not man page, they had documentation, really didn't show you how to use the doggone stuff. It was very detailed, like you'd click on something, what's this, and it'd give you like a 5-page description of how this worked and how it tied into everything else, but there was no tutorial anywhere on how to use the darn thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was about 10 years ago. So it took a while to learn how to do that. I think Jonathan's back now. Yes, Jonathan, go ahead and share your screen. Easy. Okay, Jonathan's sharing his screen now. Ooh. Okay.
Very interesting.
The ODT is a text file. It's showing a file name there, mysoinbio.odt. That's an open standard for text files. It's used commonly between Microsoft and LibreOffice and about 97% of the other database or data or word processing suites out there. Rock Sewing Neighborhood, other documents, plans, yeah. Pure text files. You're still muted, Jonathan.
No, there's no cross through his microphone.
Oh, I see at the bottom of his screen, he's got his microphone muted on his.
Doesn't show that way on my
That's
screen.
the bottom of your screen, Stan.
No, it's the bottom of his screen.
Can you? I can't see that. Can you see that because you're the host?
I can see it. He's got a cross to the microphone.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Turn your volume
Okay.
down.
Sorry.
Turn your volume down.
Yeah, you got a hum in there somewhere.
It's terrible. This thing is just, this is a cheap Lenovo IdeaPad. This microphone doesn't work. Anyway, let me get back here.
If you could turn the volume down quite a bit, it might help.
Okay.
Have you got PAU control for your mic? Well,
that was, that,
Can you turn the volume down?
That's probably
Put
not
your-
gonna fix that 60 cycle hum.
No, that's way too much.
It's probably a bad connection in that microphone circuit somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead and shut it off, John. Go ahead and shut it off, Jonathan.
You can mute him, Stan.
I'm trying to find the button. It's... Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Hmm.
Hey, Stan
Sir.
and Jonathan, I've got this webcam. I'm going to share the Amazon page. It's $12 and it works just fantastically well.
What's $12? The
I'll
page?
show you. Hang on just a second. Where do you
Yeah, the page. Steve, are you going to tell us that you found a webcam that you don't, that'll work with something other than a Windows browser?
Well, I've got this webcam. Do you see it?
Yeah, we see it
Okay,
now.
I've got that one running on Ubuntu. Lee bought it for whatever his desktop is. It's SUSE. And I bought it. I plugged it in, and that's all the setup I did. Literally.
Yeah.
The sucker is bulletproof.
Oh, I misunderstood the term webcam. This one hangs on your monitor and just looks at your face.
Yeah, that's all I wanted it
Yeah,
for.
that's
but
pretty
you
much
can-
it.
You can pick it up and, look at other stuff if you like.
Well, I'm trying to think of what does the word webcam mean? What is it when you see? To me, a webcam is a little standalone R2D2 that's tilt, pitch, zoom, and you can
Oh, that's way more complicated than this.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess what is the definition of a webcam? What is it? What is that? It's like what's
It's a
Kleenex and
Marketing.
tissues
It's all marketing, folks. It's all
Yeah, I
marketing. Anyway,
guess.
this thing has a microphone with it, and it's
got a
$12.
microphone, which has never failed. And you can hear the quality, whatever it is. It's sitting on top of my
Yeah.
monitor there. And and check the price, like $11.
Right.
Didn't they have a bunch of these last week down at Micro Center?
I don't know. I never go there.
I get the ads in the email all the time. I think they had these down there for $12 a couple of weeks ago. They may still have them.
Well, if you got Prime, Amazon will bring it to you in a day or two. So you don't even have to get up off your dead ass, which is a big deal to me.
So
But,
it's
you know,
USB.
Yeah, like I say, I unpacked it out of the box, plugged it in, hooked it on top of my screen, and I haven't literally, if I'm not using it, I unplug it. And when I plug it in before I start the session, you know, the Zoom session, Zoom finds it unfailingly and it works.
No, that's not, I mean, it sounds like a great peripheral. We were looking more for something that would, I thought we called them webcams, but I mean, they were tilt pitch, there's a tilt pitch. In other words, it's kind of more like for home monitoring or, you know, or burglar alarm or just something, and you know, and it's like, yeah.
Well, this is cheap enough that you could use it for that. It runs off a USB port. Oh, there's a Linux application. What is it? Good grief.
I guess what I'm talking about is an IP camera. In other words, the camera is a separate standalone camera that has an IP address that you can control the camera via a web browser.
Oh yeah, that's a much more complicated thing. It throws up a website and, you know, the whole nine yards.
I was calling it a webcam, and I guess it isn't a webcam, it's an IP cam.
Yeah.
Well, call it a video camera, but this is a very simple device, but it works.
Right. This is I'm not sure what I would even call this. I'm not even sure I would call this a webcam, what you're talking about. I would call it a peripheral microphone and camera, you know, a USB microphone and camera, whether you web with it or not. It's
if you want to find it on Amazon, you know, throw in the words from this description. And it's not particularly low res. It's not 4K for heaven's sake, but it's not particularly low res.
Well, that's how we're seeing your picture now, right, Steve?
Yeah.
Well, it's decent resolution.
It's the only one I have.
Yeah. 1080p.
Yeah, it's the only video camera that I have.
Okay.
I'd like to get a really nice one, but you know, I can't talk myself into spending the money on it.
Well, you wouldn't look any better. Let's be honest.
No, it wouldn't help. It'd probably make it worse. See all the hair sticking out of my nose and everything. That's how you can tell when you're getting old. If the hair in your nose and your ears grows faster than the hair on the top of your head, then you're old.
That's about the size of it.
All right, geez, folks. Well, Jonathan, I hope we didn't scare you away. You still there?
Yeah, I had to get some things taken care of here. The Ubuntu laptop.
The microphone you're using now was working fine.
Yeah, the Ubuntu laptop has a defective microphone.
Oh.
It's a cheap idea pad that I bought for $200 from Best Buy. That's why it was $200. Probably because they knew it had defective microphones. So I've tried to make it work, and it just won't work. So this one that I'm on is FreeBSD. This one over here is Ubuntu. This is the Ubuntu laptop.
Operationally, is there much difference between FreeBSD and Linux?
Not really.
Yeah, there is. Oh, yes, there is.
There is?
Oh, hell. FreeBSD and OpenBSD use System 5 init. Modern Linux uses System D.
Okay.
It depends on me.
That's the first thing.
Operationally, Robert, tell me, you answer me this question. Is there much difference between a Macintosh and a Linux computer?
I'd say there is, yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it just so happens Macintosh is BSD underneath, but it's not, that's not even the point. It's Macintosh on top that makes it significantly different.
Yeah.
But yeah, the BSD kernel and the Linux kernel, while both being Unix, and it's like, well, how far back in Unix do you want to go? 1975, you know, so they both do LS and PWD and CD and DIR, but that's about it. You know, I mean, everything else, their init system is different. Their print manager is different. It's a completely different kernel. They're not binary compatible. They both use X11. But,
Okay.
but
But there's
I'm
some
not sure that-
differences. It's not unlike, say, a Ford
Correction on that.
and a Chrysler.
Actually, OpenBSD uses Xenokera, which is a heavy modification of X.
Oh,
And I think your Linux,
you can't even talk KDE and GNOME and things like that. It's a different, it's Unix. It has all the basic awk, grep, sed, C++, you know, all the low level two-letter commands, that's still Unix, but everything, all the GUI, the kernel underneath it and the GUI built on top of it, it's a different look and feel.
Yeah. And
actually,
device
Stanford, it's
structure-
even more
Device-
different than that. OpenBSD and FreeBSD use CLang and not GNU C++ or C compiler.
Right. I mean, C lang, not even C, huh? Or just
And
plain,
I know
plain
from
old
our-
vanilla C.
They use Clang, CLang.
And device structures are different too, in the way they partition stuff, I think.
Oh yeah, it's a different. It's not Dev SDA1 and SDA2 anymore. It's much more of a Solaris disk partitioning scheme. S1,
Yeah.
S2, D1 S1, D1 S2. I mean, it's a different look and feel. It's a different, but they're just different. Different. One uses IP tables, the other one uses a different firewall. I forget.
Packet filter,
Packet filter.
PF.
filter, yeah. And so even though we're a completely Linux shop, the one BSD box we did have in house was their packet filter, PF Sense. The OpenBSD firewall is excellent.
Well, the BSD guys invented the SSH, didn't they?
Oh, I don't know that they invented Telnet. I mean, they were in sys. What you wanted in the 1970s was sys5 with BSD extensions. The Berkeley
Yeah.
software distribution brought us networking.
Yeah.
An AT&T Unix computer was a mini computer that had to have terminals physically attached to it. The BSD extensions brought us networking and BSD
TCP
games.
Oh, yeah. And Adventure is still available in the archives, yes. Golly.
Okay.
9:34, guys.
Yeah.
All right, we're doing well. Activity is pretty good yet. Robert Hanson, are you awake?
And Bob just finished that up. The BSD is the people who really like BSD for servers, not for desktops.
Okay, so it's more server distro as opposed
It just
to anything else.
That's where it's specialized. That's where its niche market is, you know. And but they make this statement: OpenBSD is the most secure kernel because it has the most eyeballs. So that's why that's why it's firewall and other things. So it's really strong in the server market because that's where they've concentrated all of their development and their effort and their glitz and their wow. You know, they haven't concentrated, they don't have a large development community for their user interface.
I see.
But then, Stanford, that said, those, the OpenBSD desktop is the most stable one I've ever used. You don't
Okay.
have all these glitches where things,
Yeah, there's the first thing you
Don't-
need to say. What's the difference between Linux and Windows? Unix is a real computer. It's both a client and a server in the same box. Windows is like, no, what kind of license did you buy? Did you buy a server license or did you buy a desktop license?
Good point.
Because don't get
Yeah.
confused. Don't think you can do desktop apps on a Windows server, and don't think you can get a Windows desktop to do server functions.
that's a good point.
That's a very
But
good point.
Unix is Unix. I mean, you can install the server apps or the desktop apps, but that Unix distro will have both. And so, yes, there is an OpenBSD desktop. It functions as a desktop.
Well, I'd say, guys, not to get too dogmatic, but the biggest difference between Windows and the BSDs is if you want to come and be part of our world, then you have to adopt the Unix mentality. And that Unix mentality is small programs that do a few things very well and are pipelined into each other to perform tasks. Whereas Windows has huge monolithic programs that connect to everything and do everything, and they're constantly broken.
And they're
Keep it-
constantly broken. Yeah, that's a good point.
Keep it small and simple.
Right, so the Unix, the BSD paradigm it's mostly command line driven. Sure, there are things like that, but you're not going to find about this. The best desktop on FreeBSD is Mate. That's what's on this right here. Is Mate.
Oh, so they do
It's
have
done by
a Mate desktop for BSD.
They do, but for the most part, Stanford and Stan and Robert it's really command line driven.
Okay.
If you want to come into our world, this is the way we do things. And if you want to learn how to do it, then buy Systems Administration by Aileen Frisch or Evie Nemeth and read those books, and you'll learn how to operate our system. That's their.
I think all the versions of Linux are command line driven. The GUIs are just ways to look at command line. In a lot of cases, the GUIs are just another interface to a command line program.
Yeah,
But
even your package, even the two competing package managers, Yum or DNF or does not function or whatever it's called versus apt-get, they're command line. They're not click and drag package managers.
Stanford, your sound is fading out again.
I'm sorry. I'm shouting at the top of my lungs. Maybe I'm overdriving the microphone.
No, it doesn't sound like that.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, some people are constantly saying Unix is too hard, or where's the point and click? And it's like, yeah, even the Mint has a software manager, right? That's more of a point and click package manager.
Synaptic.
The other thing people have to understand is that Linux has several really good file managers, and the browsers work perfectly on there. The only thing you really don't have on Linux, Unix, BSD is the people who program for hospitals don't use it. Their database servers are probably running Linux if they got any brains at all. But The GUI is on Windows. And that's just the way it is. But behind the scenes, it's probably all Linux. It usually is. Most people don't want to put their seriously valuable patient data or things like that on Windows, because it's, hell, anybody can get into a Windows system. I could probably figure out how to do it in a day. And I'm certainly not a hacker by any stretch of the imagination. But every Unix, Linux version that I've seen since 1980 something is the command line it's one of the main interfaces. You know, if people use a particular thing enough, somebody will write a GUI for it. Okay? Like your file manager. That's something people just do all the time. So a bunch of people have written different file managers. I like Dolphin, you know, but there's probably a dozen other ones that work just as well. You know, it all depends what you get used to. But, you know, the drag and drop to move files around, that's really pretty basic. So everybody does that. Although you don't have to do it. You can do that all on the command line. People don't understand how rich the power of the command line is. But you do have to memorize the commands. But most of the time, I've looked at this, when I'm running stuff on a command line, most of the time I use a dozen commands. Not that many more than that. You know.
Is Dolphin kind of KDE based, Steve?
Might be.
I think Nautilus is GNOME and Dolphin is KDE.
I'm not sure where Dolphin came from, but it's been on Ubuntu for a long time. I think it might be from KDE.
Yeah, they're and they both. I'm going to recommend Conqueror over either one of them. Conqueror is a file manager and a web browser bundled into one application, and normally we don't like that. We like keep my applications separate. But Conqueror works. It's a poor web browser, but it works great as a network file manager. You can take your Conqueror screen, split it into a left pane and a right pane, and visit SFTP:// host name in one pane and SFTP:// in another pane, and sit and click and drag files back and forth across the network and edit them and put them back where they came from.
Oh yeah.
I can do that with Mate.
Yeah, and Dolphin does it just fine too.
Mate is a windowing system, right? It's not a file manager. What is the file manager that Mate launches? Is it Dolphin or Nautilus?
Oh,
no, it's
Kaja.
Kaja. Caja. Kaja.
Okay. I just pulled down the help on Dolphin here.
These modern file managers, Kaja, Dolphin, Nautilus, Conqueror, all have a rich set of protocols: FTP, SFTP, SMB, you know, and you can, now your files don't have to be local anymore. Anything that's got a UNC, that's a file.
Yeah, I know. I normally keep Nautilus brings up my file manager all at my server all the time. I always keep one called desktop, and inside there's a bunch of folders, and virtually none of those folders exist on my local machine. They're all on a file server or somewhere else.
I use Fuse SSH, and I will mount the file system up on Bach, and then I can drop and drag stuff back and forth using the Kaja file manager.
Yeah.
Just like SMB. I just don't bother doing SMB anymore because SMB is a pain in the ass to configure.
Well,
And I
If
don't
you
have
look
any
here at the
Windows
screen
machine.
I'm sharing right now,
Mhm.
this folder is called Own Cloud, and everything on here is over at Lee's house on one of Lee's servers.
Right,
None of this is here.
right. I mean,
Yeah,
So
but it's,
these are just a
but,
couple of things.
yeah, but that's not the file manager that's doing that. That's because you've got own cloud mounted as a
Right.
mount point on your workstation.
Right, but I have noticed if I want to, I don't, with the stuff I normally use, I don't do it. But I can go in here and put an IP address in there, as long as I have access to it.
Yeah, that's what I mean with these modern file managers. You don't have to mount the remote file system. The file manager will speak whatever protocol you want. It'll go out and contact the remote system via NFS, SSHFS, SMB, FTP, SFTP, whatever.
And by the way, I'm really liking this one tab. That has dramatically cut down the memory use of Brave or Chrome or whatever it is. Well, Brave is Chromium, I'm sorry. But yeah, it's using my whole system is using 2 gigabytes. And normally if I got a bunch of browser windows open, it'll be using 5 or 6. And the whole machine gets crabby. Now, I'm down to 2.5 gig out of 8, and it's just humming along like nobody's business. It works great. Oh, man, I got the yawns.
Are we ready to shut down, folks?
I think so.
Okay. Well, this has been the.
Stan, can I,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jonathan.
I wanted to show you guys one last thing that was part of our conversation on command lines.
Sure.
This is a great book that is a complement to Scott Graneman's book. If you wanted to go a bit further, it's published by No Storage Press. The Linux command line. You can buy them used from like Biblio or other used bookstores pretty inexpensively.
Scott didn't
There's
write that
another
one?
book you can find. It's written by a guy named Soel. And it has a real good section on using the command line. That's what I first learned from back in the late 80s. And I think it's still available.
Yeah.
I haven't looked recently, but yeah, I got the odds.
You're going to put us to sleep, Steve.
Yeah, no joke. Let me kill the camera, then you won't have to look at it. Smart ass. I'm a lot older than you, Stan.
I'm 73.
I'm 75.
Yeah. I'm trying to catch up to you.
Every year makes a big difference when you get these numbers this big.
Yeah.
Careful, Robert. Don't laugh.
I'm not laughing yet.
Oh, gosh.
Oh.
Well, all the youngsters already went to bed. Lee, Gary.
Yeah.
Well, I volunteered to take someone to the airport at 4 a.m. this morning, so I may not go to bed tonight.
Oh, gee. You got to be at the airport at 4 a.m.?
4:30.
4:30.
Ungawa.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Mm-hmm.
You probably better just stay up.
Yeah, I think so. which
Okay.
is okay. I got enough to keep me busy.
Oh, God.
Hmm. Yeah. The problem is I didn't get a nap in today. That's why I was so grumpy earlier. I'm
Well,
sorry.
you be careful out there, Stan.
I come home
I
from
think Bob.
visiting my wife.
Bob.
I guess I got home about 1 o'clock. I sat down and the next thing I knew, it was like 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
When I do that in the afternoon, I get so bloody groggy. Oh, man, it's terrible. Not fun at all.
All right,
Well,
folks. Let's shut this toy down, okay? I'm
all
going
right.
to shut the
Not a
recording
problem.
off.
Okay.
Recording
Good night, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Good night. I've enjoyed it, gentlemen.